today, the workshop is very much about finding alignment within yourself in living happy, healthy, and wealthy. And that for so many people has so many different meanings. But to me, these are the three pillars of ultimate enjoyment and living balanced. Because without happiness, we can be healthy and wealthy, but we don't really care. Without health, we can be happy, but eventually it's not going to feel great. And without the wealth, well, we can be happy and healthy, but we've got to, enjoy life with other resources too. So that was important to me. And today's session was specifically designed around aligning with regards to the human design aspect. So learning human design, specifically focusing on health. Now, it will be so many different health aspects, but there is a lot about physical, mental, and so on. And to me, truly, health is the combination of all of them, and I'm sure you can relate to. So I'm going to take you through human design and aspects of it this way, and I'm going to get you in a minute. I'll show you where to go to download your chart so that you can actually look at it at the same time as I'm explaining it. So this is very much about aligning, and so let's just get going through this. So to me, alignment is three things: vibration, so the feeling, the feeling of everything's amazing. I feel like I might not have the answers, but everything's going to be great because I feel it. Then the blueprint, so the knowledge, so knowing and being able to back up with logic, because sometimes what happens is we want to feel like we always want to feel great, but our logical mind comes in and says, but, or but this happened, or but I've seen this. It starts to do all the conditioning stuff that we've had happen. So when we back up the logic, so we back up the logical explanation behind the feeling, we're unstoppable, because now we've got something backing us up, so the logical brain can bugger off. And then the support, because always we need the right people around us, the right community. We were talking about this yesterday, that what we need is the people who are going to help us keep feeling this vibration and relate to our blueprint. So all of it in combination, to me, is what helps me when I have all this in my world, then I'm feeling great. I was talking and sharing an alignment session with a group last week after the Pi call, actually. And it was all about alignment with only a small aspect of human design. Everything else was about vibration. So feel free to take a look at it. And if you can't find it on the group, then I'll send you a recording as well. Because to me, it goes in combination. Knowing your blueprint is important, but also being able to go, okay, thank you, logical mind, I'm choosing this instead. That's also important, and that's vibration. So today we'll be talking about the fine-tuning trick, so human design. So alignment is important every day, stepping up, going higher and higher and higher on the scale of vibration, where we can feel better and better. Sometimes by even admitting and accepting where we are, because that already raises our vibration from like fear, worry, loss. But the second thing, the fine-tuning, to me, what made a difference to me hugely a few years ago, and I continue to be surprised by it, because once you go down the rabbit hole of human design, you're like, wow, there's so much more to discover. And so today we'll be talking specifically about that aspect. Physical health, I'll take through digestion, movement, sleep, and routines for the type that each of you is. Emotional and energetic health. So we'll talk about what environments are the best, where your energy might be leaking, and how to prevent that. Then optimizing how you're doing what you're doing, what motivates you, and finding and connecting to that, and not trying to use someone else's method when it doesn't work for you, and decision making. And also we can touch on relationships, and kids, if anyone has them, understanding the dynamics and fostering harmony within those. So it's all relationships, but with kids, we kind of have a different view on them. To me, all of that really creates the healthy unit, I guess, in your mind. So you can go to www.ahumandesign.com and download the chart while I'm kind of talking through the next couple of bits. And your chart will look like what I'm sharing here in this screen. So you'll see a chart, and a bunch of numbers to the side of the chart, and also astrological, there will be planetary signs. And then below that, which I've now copied and pasted next to it, but below the chart, you will also see a bunch of information like type, strategy, and so on. And I will take you through as much as I feel I can take you through without overwhelming, while also at the same time giving you enough to then say, oh, I can go and explore these things myself. So while you go to ahumandesign.com, you need to type in you can type in your name or whatever you want to type in, your date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth. And then you can put an email address. You don't have to really put in something if you don't want to receive information from them. I found out that whatever email I put in, it still pops out the design chart for me. So today, I will be taking you through the type. So your type, what human design type are you? And there are, 4 types, but one of them has like a subtype, and people call them 5 types. Your strategy. So what is the best way forward? What is the best way of going about life for you as the type you are? Through your authority. So what helps you make decisions? How should you be making decisions? What should you listen to within yourself? And I will be taking you through defined and undefined centers, and I will tell you more about this one when it comes to it, because all these different shapes on your chart are centers. And I will be taking you through information on your digestion. What does that actually mean? How should you live your life so that you can optimize your brain function? Your environment. So what environments are best for you to really maximize on your energy, and anything that kind of drains you, and any energy leaks, and anything that helps you flow, and anything that stops that flow, any blind spots that you might have. The beauty of human design is that a lot of the things I will tell you will be stuff that you go, I get that, because a part of it is your personality, is the conscious side. You will probably know that. It will be good to put it in words and actually to go, oh yeah, that makes sense, that is me, and to like put a stamp of approval of yourself on it. And the other side will be stuff that you felt subconsciously, but you maybe didn't express it, or kind of maybe it's coming to your consciousness, because the design side in human design is something that we're exploring throughout life. And some of us are lucky enough to learn these lessons about ourselves and the subconscious side throughout our life. Human design, just to be brief as well about what it is, because people might be like, what is this? Has been downloaded by this guy who named himself Ra Uruhu, and was a Canadian guy in Ibiza in the 80s. Had this download of information that basically came through from a source to him that made him draw out all of the stuff that human design is. And then he dedicated 25 years of his life to exploring, deepening, and teaching others. Now, people might say, okay, well, that's just some man's stuff that he wrote out. But actually, what transpired was that human design actually, when looked at it from other systems and other methodologies, was actually based very closely to the chakra system, the Indian chakra system, the Chinese I Ching, the Kabbalah tree of life, and what did I say? And astrology. So actually, a lot of that really has been confirmed in other teachings. And astrology is obviously one of the most ancient and oldest sciences. And before, people who were astrologers were called weirdos. They were actually called the most finest minds. So a lot of that is really important. And human design is constructed out of 2 things. One is your date and time and place of birth, so where the stars were in that time. And the other, the subconscious side, is approximately 3 months before your birth, which might be the stuff that you might be discovering about yourself and going, I felt this all the time, but something stopped me. Human design also can tell us when we're not living in accordance to our design, because it might tell us things like, for example, you're being motivated by something, but you could tell in your life that you're spotting times where you've been motivated by other things. And you can tell by human design when you're living out of alignment and when you're living in alignment, because sometimes you live in the exact opposite of what your most amazing self would be. And when I started living my design, I stopped pretending to be someone else. I actually really, it's like I became myself. And I'm still becoming, because we're all becoming and learning more and more, but it was so freeing. So I loved it. So let me take you through this journey, starting with a golden car. So if you imagine human design, and I was trying to figure out how to explain the types to everyone. So the types of human design are basically what are we within this system. And I think it was Friday afternoon, and I was sitting in here, and I said to myself, I'm going to do Keith Cunningham's thinking time. And my brain was going, no, you're tired, it's Friday afternoon. Kids randomly ended up being taken away by their auntie for a sleepover, which I was so grateful for. And I said, oh, and I sat there, and it just came to me that the best description is to talk about a car, because everyone can relate to a car. Everyone's been in a car, everyone's seen a car. Most of us drive cars, so it would be a great analogy. So I'm grateful for thinking time and for Keith, and for the fact I didn't give in to my other urges. So if you think about human design types, if you're already looking at your chart, at the stuff that you downloaded from the website, the first thing that I'll say is a type. Now, let me tell you about types in human design. One of the types that is probably the most important, I guess the most frequent type, is a generator. Generator is basically like an engine in a car. If you imagine an engine, it's what keeps it going. It's what has energy all the time. A generator is a type, a person who will have access to centers within their human design that are motor centers that give you energy to keep going, to keep driving, to keep moving. And that usually means that you're able to keep going. You have that zest for life, that fuel that feels, yes, everything's, I have the energy to keep going, as long as you're satisfied with what you're doing. So if you're a generator, as long as you're satisfied with what you're doing, you feel satisfaction, you don't feel frustration, because when you feel frustration, that means you're doing something that you're doing out of convenience. When you feel satisfied, that's the way to go. So you will know when you're balanced, you're satisfied. When you're not, you're frustrated. There's a subtype of generator. And by the way, generators make up 70% of the population right now. But obviously, as you know, people are born all the time, people die all the time. So that also shifts. The percentages, the split of the different human design types also splits. But generators make up right now for 70%. And out of that 70%, half of that is a subtype of generator called a manifesting generator. A manifesting generator is very, very curious type, because it's like a generator, and I put this, you'll see, oh, hang on, where's my clicker? There we go. This here is like a supercar engine. So a generator is anyone who, so manifesting generator is like a super tuned up generator. It's basically a generator that just keeps going, and it has this amazing kind of never ending energy. It can generate literally the energy. Then in a car, we have the ignition, right? To start the car, we need to ignite it. A manifester type in human design is like an ignition. It's the person who starts things. You don't have to kind of continue to keep it going. You just start things. You initiate. You see something. You might be a visionary. You will have a very powerful, forceful energy and nature. Sometimes it might feel overwhelming, because you're just like, go, let's do this. And Steve Jobs, for example, was a manifester. Right? He was a manifester. So that's the energy. He came up with a completely new product. No, he didn't adapt something. He came up with something new and breakthrough. So that's the type. My both kids are actually manifestors. So sometimes I feel so overwhelmed by their energy. And then you have the sat nav. So the navigation system, the GPS in your car. And that's a projector. So projector type in human design is like a guide. It's like, it's telling you, it's kind of helping guiding your energy. It's helping you to figure out where you're going. Where are you going? How do you get there? And it's got a very powerful aura, because it can really take on other people's energy and feel it. And so because of that, it can also guide. It's very good at seeing systems, processes, seeing connections that others might not see, seeing patterns, and so on. And then we have a reflector. So reflectors like the mirrors in the car, the whole mirror system, not just the side mirrors, the rear view mirrors, all of the mirrors. Reflector is the type that will reflect other people's energy. So they will feel everything that's happening. They will feel everything. There's only 1% of population that is reflector, 8% of population manifestor, and about 20% of population who are projectors. Excuse me. And so the the reflector will see, feel other people's energy. They might actually reflect it back to them, right? So they're very, very responsive, and sometimes you will see a reflector act in different ways with different people, and that's because they are perceiving that people's aura and kind of giving it back to them. Now, those 5 types each have a way of being, so a strategy, meaning how they go through life, and also a decision making, a way of decision making. Now, I will take you through yours in a minute. I'll go back to the chart, but I just want to say that the generators and manifesting generators, their strategy is to respond. What does that mean? Because those types are connected to their sacral center, their sacrum, their energy force for life center, they have that gut feel of when something needs help, action, and so on. So when you're responding, knowing if you can commit your energy to it, that's your energy. It's not starting something new, coming up with some brand new stuff. It's responding to something that might already be a need. So if you think about Tony Robbins, he's a generator type. He's a manifesting generator, actually, and he is responding, right? There's a need in the world that he obviously saw that he's responding to. He's using other people's strategies to put it together for people and for them to make use of it to make their lives better. And he's this force for life. He has probably almost all of his centers active, which means that he has a lot of energy. So his decision making will be either knowing something, and I'll tell you based on your chart, I'll take you through it as well. It will either be knowing it. Your decision making might be sacral. It might say in your chart it's sacral. That means you will have an aha or an response. Someone says to you, "Oh, I think we should do this new thing," and you just go, "Mm-mm." And you don't know why. It's not logical. You might be thinking, "I don't know how to respond." Go with that decision. That's your decision. Now, if you're thinking, "Oh, I'm worried because I need to tell them why and whatever," just say, "I need to think about it. Give me some time." And then you already know your answer. You might just formulate the response with some time. But a generator who has a sacral energy, sacral response, you will, and authority, you will know that you're like, okay, yes or a no. Your gut will go, literally. If your authority is emotional, that means that you have this wave of emotion that can overcome you. It can be very high or very low, and your decision has to be based on that wave dropping to a calm, smooth water. So when you know and you can feel it's high, or when you feel it's low, don't make the decision. Just ride the wave out, wait, and make a decision once you're calm and you've removed yourself from that situation. We then have manifestors, and their strategy is to initiate and to inform. That means that they have this force to do something new, and often people might be like, "What the hell?" because it's new. And so if you are a manifestor, then you have to make sure that you're communicating, you're informing. Within your Human Design Center, you will see, and I'll explain to you in the centers in a minute, that your center, your communication, your throat will be active, which is common for all the manifestors. And that means you have to communicate as much as possible with people who are around you, because they might not get your level right now. Excuse me. Sorry, I'll come back to this. So being a manifestor, your strategy will be to initiate and inform. So if you're seeing this in your chart, in your report, that's what it is. It's actually communicating. That's all it is. It's to inform, because what you're doing is so different, so new, that it takes people to get it sometimes. Like my kids, for example, need to inform me because they have these like ideas, and sometimes they go, oh, I've got this, that's what I'm gonna do, and they don't tell me, and then we go, what on earth? What are you doing? And so I'm teaching them. I say, whatever you're doing is beautiful, it's brilliant. You've got to inform me of what you're doing, because my energy is different than yours. So inform me, and then when they do that, we have a peace and harmony. Reflector, if you're a reflector, and again, there's very small population percentage of reflectors. If you're a reflector, you will have no authority or strategy, because you have to wait a lunar cycle. So you have to wait out a lunar cycle before any big decisions. And in terms of your aura, people will be coming into your aura. They will almost like turn up in your aura. It's almost like there's no kind of forward initiation action kind of you have to do. And waiting out the full lunar cycle doesn't mean you have to wait 28 days before you figure out if you want to have an egg sandwich or something else for lunch. It's the big life decisions. The reason you have to wait is that you feel within the way the moon passes, and you will be affected by it. So you've just got to feel out throughout that cycle, and then you'll know. And when you make your decisions, you'll keep making them knowing where you are and how they feel. If you're a projector, your strategy is wait for invitation. That means whatever you're doing in life, don't just go offering people advice unsolicited, because unlike with generators, it might be taken like, oh yeah, great. Or with manifestors, my kids, they keep telling people stuff when we're out. Like they keep just giving people advice or telling them stuff. And people are like, oh yeah, wow, that's interesting. It would never happen to me. I'm a projector. So with me, if I gave people, my son the other day told this woman in a shop, he said, that's a lot of bread rolls you have there in your in your shopping cart. That's a lot. They're white carbs. They're not very good for health. And I was just like, oh my God, he's going to hear the most awful response probably. And she went, you know what? You're right. They're not the healthiest. My husband loves them. And actually, but it's worth thinking about. I would never get this response with the same way of saying it, with the same niceness. I would never get this. I would be like, why are you nosing yourself in? Because a projector has to wait for invitation. Doesn't mean literally someone says, I'm inviting you, but it might be that. But it might be that someone says, oh, you know what? Like yesterday we were talking and someone said something about human design. And I said, actually, I'm doing this workshop. That's an invitation. Someone's talking about it, not me going, hi, I'm doing a workshop. And so that means that you're feeling into that, because as a projector, you've got so much to share, so much insight that is beautiful, but when it's invited in. And just waiting to be recognized, waiting for that recognition and invitation is the best, because then you turn up in the most amazing environments. That might be your tribe of people inviting you over. That might be someone else. So you just go about your life doing what you love the most. You follow your heart. And like for me, for example, I'm doing this workshop because I was like, oh my God, I want people to learn about this, right? So and my 75 Hard group, the health challenge people, have been like, we've been talking about this. So I said, okay, let me just do this as a thank you, right? And I'm sharing this, and that's it. And yes, I will, tell people about how they can work with me and stuff, but I'm not doing this for that. And so if you're a generator, you might be generating like workshops or invitations or meetups and then selling and doing that kind of stuff. Whereas with a projector, it's different. You're sharing your energy and people invite you in to do more with them. If you're a projector, you will feel successful. And that means not successful like, the kind of big American dream successful kind of thing, but like you will feel achieved, like accomplished with whatever you're doing, whether it's within your personal life, within your business, within your health, within whatever, you feel success. When you're not aligned, you will feel bitterness. So you feel like sign for you're not in your energy. So it's just a sign to say, okay, let me align back with myself. And if this is already feeling overwhelming, all this information, then don't worry, because I'm going to debunk it for you as you go. If you're a reflector, you want to feel surprised. And when you're feeling discouraged and like instead of gratitude, you're having the attitude, that's when you're like the furthest from yourself. You want to feel surprised because you want to feel surprised by people's energy. When you're a manifester, If you're feeling angry, that's the furthest from your design. If you're feeling peaceful, that's you in your element. I see that with many people who I'm talking to when they're frustrated as a generator. I'm like, okay, we've got to figure out, are you trying to put yourself into doing something that isn't you? Because if you are, then you've got to get yourself out of those ASAP, or rewrite the way you're doing it in your mind. Like, start enjoying this, or stop doing it and do something that it feels more joyful. Same with all the other types, right? So it's like your compass. So you will see that on your chart, on your reading, that your signature will be whatever it is, and I've just described these, and your not self will be the opposite. It's like the opposite of what you are when you're aligned. So that's great. It's your compass. It's like I'm true north when I'm in my like success or peace or any of those. And when I'm in my not self, that's myself. That's when I'm going in the opposite direction. With regards to projectors, because I haven't told you about decision making for projectors. Projectors have different decision making places. They will have spleen, for example, which is intuition. So splenic decision making, that's when so it's not like a gut feeling like for generators. It's more like, I should go this way, or I don't know why, but I should call this person. Like, you will not know why, but you'll just have these intuitive things. So that will be splenic. You might have ego decision making, or identity decision making. So when you have your identity decision making, it's just coming from like, who am I, right? And it's like, am I true to myself? Am I being me, or am I being someone else? And ego decision making is from the heart. It's like it's like your willpower. It's telling you, is this something that I want to keep doing? Is this something that I want to keep investing in? Is this me true to myself, or is this my ego talking? And most likely you will feel that you have that drive. You will feel, if you're ego decision making, you will feel that you don't have an issue with comparing who's better, or like being very competitive. You'll probably not feel it. And because of that, you will know when you're your decision making will be based on, am I trying to prove something here or not? And if you feel like you are, then you're like, that's not me. When you're like, no, it's just me, I'm following something I love, that's when you know what you're doing. And then we have environmental. So identity decision making is self-projected, which means that you're actually talking through to yourself, like, is this me? Is this who I am? Is this the thing for me? And that's how you'll know, is this me, or is this me trying to be someone else? Often you might find that talking out loud to yourself, like just you in the room, will be the thing you need. You'll talk something out loud, whether it's people or not, you will know. And if you are external decision making, you will be like me, which is a strategy to talk it out. So if I have people who I trust, I will talk to them, and I don't ask them for advice. It's me hearing my voice and how I sound when I'm talking through something, and knowing, how does that sound to me? Does that sound like it's aligned with me? Does that sound fake? Because I already know, like, if I'm saying something and I'm explaining myself, I go, oh, okay, something about that decision doesn't feel like it's true to me. Maybe I should think about, am I doing this out of ego? Am I doing this because, I'm emotional? Am I doing this for other reasons? Or when it's like, when it feels right, when it doesn't feel fake, then I know that it's the right decision for me. But I do this only with people who I trust, because then you know how you sound with people you trust. Because with people you don't trust, you're probably acting in a different way. So that's kind of authorities. And if you want to explore yours more, obviously ask me questions later. So I discussed the types. I told you about the strategy for your type. I told you about the authority. So my authority is called mental, actually. For some reason, I got mental and I forgot my authority type. Sometimes it's called mental, sometimes it's called environmental, whatever it is. I'm not going to dwell too much on definition, And your profiles, you could probably easily look it up, because a profile basically means the first number is the number you're conscious of, and the second number is the thing that's more subconscious. So very briefly, number one, if you have that in your profile, that's you seeking information. You know what you know, and you know where you know it from. Number two is like a person who knows, but they have to kind of put themselves in a cocoon every now and then they emerge when they're ready. So it's like they put themselves in a drawer and they come out when they're ready. Sometimes you might feel like you're doing that. And number three is experiencing. It's like the martyr. It's the person who will go and, despite 100 people telling them how they did it, or sometimes no one telling them, they will go and experience something on their own. So I have the polarities here, for example, because I seek information. I need to know everything, but then I'm going and exploring. So I'm like constantly bouncing and balancing. Number four is a person who is, it's like the networker, the person who will be thriving around other people, around networks, and they will be through their network, they will be thriving. That means they will be connecting people together. Their connections, their best things will come from their network too. Number five is a person who attracts people in their life who need help. It's the person who helps others. Now, if that person feels that they are being recognized for that, that's great. But if they're not, they might start feeling a bit bitter or frustrated. So just notice that if you're a 5 in your chart, you might feel that. And that just means that talking to the people you're in your environment might need to be, you know what, I love being recognized. So when I'm working with you and I'm doing this for you and whatever, I love when I'm being recognized for that. So I just want to make sure that you are actually benefiting from this work, or from this that I'm doing for you, or from whatever. Because when you're feeling that, you will have so much more energy to keep going. And number 6 is a role model. And number 6 means that your life is taking you on a journey, so that in your later life, from 50 onwards, you can start being that role model and actually showing other people, helping other people, and being this kind of person to look up to. A role model goes through stages in their life. Up to 30, they're probably experiencing a lot, like learning a lot, and then experiencing on their own skin. Between 30 and 50, they usually withdraw more, and then from 50 onwards ish, because it's not exact science on age, but it's roughly that time, they start becoming that role model. Incarnation crosses, we'll leave that for now, because there are so many of them and everyone's different, so I wouldn't have time to take you through half of them, never mind the rest of this. We talked about signature and not self-theme. So again, your signature means that's the way you feel here is the way when you're aligned. When the not self-theme is, I'm not aligned, that's not me, I'm the furthest from me. Like if I'm starting to feel bitter, I know that I need to rest. Then I rest, then I start finding what is feeling joyful for me, and I do this. And then we're going into these fab things around digestion, environment, and motivation, and I want to take you through that as well. Just let me see if this is the next slide. Yes, there we go. Okay, so if on your chart you're seeing your digestion, so digestion will be how you digest food and information, and the world in general, but information too, which is very interesting. So if your digestion is consecutive or alternating, you will be eating one thing at a time. Now, what does that mean? If it says consecutive, it means you'll be eating. So, for example, you have dinner, you have some protein, you have some veggies, and you have some, potato, for example, right? Let's make a classical thing. You will eat the protein first, then the veggies, then the potatoes. If you have an alternating digestion, that means that you will feel the best from something like a charcuterie board, or something like a tapas, where you get to pick something. So you'll have a bit of this, you'll eat it. Then you'll have a bit of the next one, then you'll eat it. Then you'll have the next one, then you'll eat it, right? So it's still, with consecutive or alternating digestion, you will pick the finest foods, and you will be only eating them with consecutive, one after the other, the big stuff. And with alternating, if it's like small portions of food, you will have a bit of olives, a bit of cheese, a bit of peppers, maybe a bit of something else. And that's also how you will be taking on information, right? So it might be that you'll be into Tony Robbins a lot, and then you'll do all of this, and then you'll move on to the next teacher. I don't know, Joe Dispenza, for example, or someone else, right? And with alternating, it might be that you're okay. I'm doing Tony. I'm doing this workshop today. Then I'm doing another workshop. Then I'm doing something else, and that's the most effective for your brain. So remember that too. The second type, and it splits into open or closed. So if you've got open or closed, you will be very seasonal with your food. You might feel actually great eating the same stuff. And it might not be the same stuff all the time, but you'll jump on a wagon with something and you'll eat it until it stops being cool for you, right? And that's the best thing. Don't force yourself to do anything else. Just do it, because your variety will come with seasons or with where you are. If you've got open digestion, you just need to taste something once and you'll know if it's right to add to your diet. And if it's closed digestion, it means that you just need one look at it to know if it's something that you want to add to your diet or not. So for example, there was a time when I just jumped into eating avocados like 14 years ago. I never had them before, never really bothered me. It's like, whatever. And then something happened, and then I tasted one and I added it. And I just ate, I made the finest, skinniest toast with loads of avocado, loads of tomatoes and cucumber, and I just ate that loads, right? And then I would jump on something and I go, oh, okay, I'm feeling like this. Even when I went through a phase where I was eating a lot of sugar, it was like a month, and I just knew that my system, for whatever reason, it wasn't like me being bored, me being in whatever. I just needed that. It started on the first of the month, literally. It ended like second or third of the next month, and then that was it, right? I haven't really eaten sugar for a long time now, but that was it. And I knew that for me, I have open digestion. I needed this in my diet right now. That's it. My body needed it. So I didn't go, what's the calories? What's the this? What's the whatever? I go, okay, I'm feeling this. I've tasted this. That's what I need. If you have thirst, hot or cold, it means that if it's hot, that means your digestive system is cold, which means that it needs hot stuff in you. So it's hotter than body temperature, right? So that might be hot teas, that might be soups, that might be hot dinners. Whether if it's cold, then you need to have cold stuff. So for example, iced water, for example, cooler foods, so like salads and things like that. That might be the best way for you to go. If it's calm or nervous, it basically means calm digestion is you need a calm environment. It might be completely like no one there with you. It's calm. That's how you eat. That's how you need to eat. Not around other people, not around whatever, just you, might be even, closed off by yourself. Nervous means you need the buzz. You need the buzz around you. You need, like at Tony events, like just eat it when everyone else is dancing. You're like, yeah, whatever. Or, when other people are sitting there, or in a big environment, in a co-working space. If your digestion is high, or low, that's about sound. So high digestion means you want to be in a high sound, right? So you might be by yourself, but you'll have music blasting, or you'll hear people talking, or you'll be in a cafe. You love that. And sometimes, like the higher the better. Low, you will want quiet or very, very low noise, completely quiet sometimes. You might want to have headphones on for that. That will be the most optimal for you, because that's what your brain needs. So, for example, when you're learning, if it's high, it means that you want really loud, you want the environment to be loud for your learning. If it's low, that means you have to really focus. It needs to be quiet, right? It might be that the speaker is speaking, but everything else has to be quiet. Okay. And then you'll have direct or indirect. So this is about light. So if it's direct, it means that you need to eat during the times of direct light. So when the sun is out. And that's the most optimal. So no midnight snacking, no, eating when it's dark, just kind of setting your clock on that. When it's indirect, it means that you're best actually eating when it's dark. So either early in the morning, or at night, or in the evening. Or if, that's something you might not be able to do, because most of us will kind of eat when it's light out, because that's when we're awake. Then darken your environment. That's also a great way to do it. Now, all these digestions mean that if you're living in accordance with that, because your brain function will be optimized, everything else in your body will also be optimized, right? So it starts to align with you, and just doing that, living that, starts to show you, oh, okay, that's me, that's my flow. You're not trying to be someone else because they told you about this program or this diet or this whatever. You're just like, that's me. We'll then jump to environment, which in your chart will say environment, and then you'll have a name of it. So I'll just take you through the 6 environments. Each of them actually has a scale where it can go. But let me just take you through those, because I feel like it might be overwhelming if I take you through any more of this. So if you've got caves, it means that you're best in an environment where there's one way in, one way out. Maybe possibly your back to the wall, where you have control over who you invite in. It's like a cave. Imagine that. It doesn't have to be dark. It's just having that comfort and that space. And caves can be different. So that also, we can look at that in your chart. Markets, if your environment is markets, that means that you're best, and that's energy wise as well, right? Because, for example, I'm caves. I'm the best for when I want to take action and be very focused, because that's also, I'll tell you how you can see that as well. When you want to take action, be focused, I'm in case. So I put myself in an environment where it's just me. I know who's coming in, who's coming out. I will sit in my own place. Sometimes I might be in a cafe, but I'll sit in a place that's back to the wall. I can see everything. I feel safe. That's it, right? Markets means that you'll enjoy a place where it's like a market, where people talk, where people might be not necessarily haggling, but it might be that kind of feeling where you see different things, different people, you hear different stories, conversations, right? That's the kind of environment. And that might be, it might be co-working spaces, for example. It might be open spaces. When your environment is kitchens is all about, like when you think about a kitchen, you think about like something's cooking, right? Like this heart of the home almost. And it's like, that's where things are transforming, because in a kitchen, ingredients transform into a meal. So kitchens is an environment where things transform. If your environment is kitchens, that means that places like, retreats or personal development sessions like Tony's doing this week, for example, that is like, oh, you feel great there. That's where things transform. And so if you think about this, it might be literally sitting somewhere and being somewhere that is like where you're seeing something being transformed. It might be even being, on the shore of something where you're seeing, I don't know, people like building a house or something, right? Transforming a place from one way to another. Whatever you think about in terms of transformation, it might be literal kitchen when other people are there and you're seeing it transform. If your environment is mountains, it means that you prefer higher, bigger kind of vision places where it might be higher floor. It might be a literal mountain or like space where you can see very widely. Okay, so it's about just kind of having that view where you're higher up and you can see everything and you can see a big picture. That's kind of mountains, like being on that high place. It might be that your bed is like a raised bed with a ladder, or it might be that you're living on a second or third floor or high up, and that's the most amazing for you. Valleys is an environment. If you imagine a valley, it's like, it's at the bottom of something and it's surrounded, right? So it's like a cushy place where you feel safe, but you can still watch. So it might be that you're sitting in a restaurant by the window and watching people pass by, right? It's like it's a fairly safe space, but you're watching what happens around you. You might be people watching. You might be watching traffic or others, right? It's being there, but knowing that you're in your own space and you get to see out, as opposed to be in this market environment, for example, right? And then your final environment is shores. So that means it could be literal shores. I had a client in Colorado and she was like, well, I don't really have many shores. I have a lot of land, right? There are no shores. And I said to her, okay, shores might not be literal, like great. If your environment is shores, you'll be drawn to the coast probably, or, you know, a lakeside or something. But it might be that you have music with the sound of waves in your background. It might be that you've got pictures of water, right? It might be this. So imagine, if I'm talking about this, just imagine it doesn't have to be the literal environment. It might be that in your environment, you put these things into play. And that's really going to impact you. When I stopped trying to, you know, fit into a specific, like a market-like or a kitchen-like environment, and started going, okay, when I need to be taking action, be by myself, that's where I need to go. And sometimes to recharge as well. It changed everything for me. You know, my energy kind of came back to me. You will see, before I move on to motivation, you will see that I cut out a piece of, come on, where is it? Here, I'm circling it here. I cut out a piece of the chart from the top. You'll see that you'll have, on your chart, you'll have 4 arrows. If the arrows are directed right, the arrow is more, if you think about energy, feminine and masculine, the energy is more feminine. It's more flowing. In human design, it says passive, and if it's left, it's active, but I don't like that word, because to me, both energies are active. It's more flowing. Like if it's toward the right, it's flowing. It's more like, oh, let me just spill out. It's like a river. And if it's left, it's active. It's strategy. It's more like, you know, let's strategize here, right? Let's be more specific. Let's direct to the point. So I'm taking you through my example here. So the first top left arrow is your digestion. So if the arrow is centered left, for me, I have an open digestion. And the left means that I have to be very structured with when I'm eating. So I need something like 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day, whatever they are, but it needs to be structured. For me, for my optimum health, it's not good to be like, when do I feel hungry? But for someone else, it might be, you know, if their arrow is pointing right, it might be more flexible and flowing. The next arrow, the bottom left arrow, is the environment arrow. So if it's pointing right, it will be more flowing. It will be that you might be going to that environment to be like feeling flow, right? It might not be, I'll go and take action and do things. So for me, my caves, I take action, but it's action of like, I'm being creative there. I'm being, you know, I'm recharging there. I'm not going for business or something like that, right? I will invite people into my cave, because you guys are all in my cave right now, because I invited you in. And it's flow. It's like, you know, there's no like negotiations here or anything like that. It's all about flowing and doing it. So if you're looking at your chart, just relate to that. The second 2 arrows are your perspective and then your motivation. So perspectives on top and the motivations on the bottom. I'm not going to take you through perspective and motivation in such detail, because I feel that those 2 that I've just taken you through are going to be quite a lot. But your motivation, depending on what it is, it basically means how you are motivated to move on, to do the things you're doing. If it's fear motivation, it means that you're thinking about what can go wrong. It doesn't mean that you're fearful. You could go into fear if you're not careful, but you're thinking, okay, what could go wrong? And then you go, okay, I'm thinking about all these things, so I can now plan for the thing that I can do so that it doesn't go wrong, right? So that's a really good skill to have. If it's hope, then you're looking for what might be the best outcome. It's like, oh, I hope this is going to, it's not like that bad hope that Tony talks about, like hope versus certainty. It's hope as in you're hoping, you're seeing something that others might not see. You're like, oh yeah, there's hope for this. That might be your way of doing things. If your desire, that means that what's driving you is the desire for something to change, to happen, right? So if you're in that, if you're flowing in your desire, for example, my motivation is fear. So when I'm thinking, okay, what could go wrong, and knowing that, how can I help other people? Knowing this. So for example, I'm taking you guys through human design, thinking about how to align so that you're not living disaligned. So you're not living in a way that is not you, right? What can go wrong? But if I'm starting to go, oh my God, what can go wrong? And living in fear, I'm gonna like sit at home and do nothing and never ever do anything. So kind of not using this motivation in the negative way, but thinking, how can I use this in a way that serves? If your motivation is need, you'll be thinking, okay, what do I need? What do I need? What's needed right now? What's required? What's needed for me, for others? If you're using guilt as motivation, it's not like, oh, I'm feeling guilty. It's the same as with fear. You're thinking, okay, what needs to happen so that I'm not feeling this, right? This is very different than, oh, I'm feeling so guilty, so I better do this. It's like, what needs to happen to not feel this? And then motivation of innocence is so beautiful. Innocence is when you're like a child, like, oh, I'm being curious about this. A kid just goes and like, oh, I'm going to try this, or I'm going to taste that, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to, oh, a butterfly, I'm going to follow it, right? That's innocence. So if you're motivated, like, what does that mean for health, for example? If you're thinking like, I'm going to force myself into exercising because someone told me, right? I'm using fear. If I'm using fear, I go, okay, what would happen if I'm not moving in the right way? And then I'll go and do research on, what is movement really? How is this? What is the myth and the stigma of like working out every day and how often and so on? And I'll go and do the research, and then I'll move based on that, because I'll know in my mind, okay, that's what I need right now. If I'm using innocence, I'll be going, oh, that's interesting. Oh, let me try this, hot yoga thing, right? Or, oh, let me try canoeing or something. It might be like, oh, I'm using the different things. I don't have to plan like crazy. And then your motivation, you can see also when you're not acting in accordance. So for example, if I'm not acting in accordance with mine, I transfer to need. So if your motivation is fear and you're not acting in accordance, it transfers to number 4, need. If it's hope, it transfers to guilt. If it's desire, it transfers to innocence, and vice versa, if you're not aligned. So if I'm doing stuff from need, I'm like, oh my God, I need to move, because if I'm not moving, like what's gonna happen? Like I'm gonna, this is like, I need it in my life. If I don't have it, everything's gonna go bad. That's very low vibration. But if I'm thinking, what could happen if I don't? Okay, I'm thinking here, but I'm not doing it from like last minute kind of rushing around. So that said, you have a lot and you're probably being overwhelmed. I'm going to talk you through one last piece, and I'm not going to go further than that. Your centers. So in here, you will have all your different centers. If they're colored in, and I can talk you through, if you decide to, if you want to do a reading with me, I can talk you through the colors and what they mean for you. But whenever something's colored in, that means you have constant access to it. It's a defined center. Whenever it's not, it means that you can take other people's energies. So just to be very brief here, top is the head. It's your pressure to think. The second triangle, the one kicked in, so to speak, is your ajna, which is your mind. It's the pressure to, it's like conceptualizing. It's making sense of things. The third one, which is a square, is your throat. So it's communication, how you communicate. And the next one, which is like a kicked square, is your identity. It's self-love. It's knowing who you are. The tiny little triangle to the right of that square is your ego. So it's willpower. It's knowing where you're going. It's direction. Yeah, I guess. It's like, it's knowing what you need to do. It's not like, not like going, oh, that person's doing this, so I better do this. No, it's like, you know what you're doing and why. The square that's second from the bottom is your sacral. So if that's colored in, that means you're a generator, basically. And your sacrum is your energy for life, your life force. The triangle on the right is your solar plexus, which is responsible for your emotions. The triangle on the left is your spleen, which is responsible for intuition, survival, health. And then the square at the bottom is your root. It's the pressure to do. Now, if you are super fully colored in, that means you have fewer energy centers that someone else's energy can take on. If you're fully colored in, that also means that you give off a lot of energy, and that might be sometimes overwhelming for others. It's usually like people go, wow, that person, wow. But at the same time, they go, oh, I'm scared. But if you have a lot of centers open, that is where you're prone to other people's energies. That's where you have to protect it at all cost. So for me, 3 centers open, I have intuition, so much comes to me. One of my gifts, as I was saying yesterday, is knowing, like, I have this clarity about people, and people in my presence have a lot of clarity for themselves. I can communicate it clearly, I can make sense of it, and I can help people understand. Everything below that is open. So I'm open to other people's emotions. I amplify them. If someone's emotional, I can see that because I start feeling it, right? Which also means that, that helps. I don't have the energy to keep going all the time. I have to rest, right? For me, that's what's needed. So if in your design you have more centers closed, that means you have a lot more energy. That means that you need to stop every now and then and say, am I acting in accordance with myself? That's it. Am I acting in accordance with myself? Just stop, because you could keep going. There's so many things you can do. You're always finding something, right? So it's just about going, am I trying to take a lot of slow trains to get to my destination instead of aligning, moving in a different direction and jumping on the express train that takes me there in no time? But I just need to align first. So the work has to be done here rather than do. If, however, you have many centers open, uncolored, undefined, it means you will be prone to other people's energy. If your emotional center is open, you'll be seeing people's emotions. So you might have people in your life who, like, you get very emotional when they're with you. That means that their energy is so strong, it's influencing yours. I have that energy with, a couple of my family members. And I go, okay, I can't see you more than once a month. I love you. But for me to be the best version of me I can be with you, I need to be seeing you then because otherwise it wouldn't go great for either of us, right? And then, yes, of course, I do all my work around, okay, what can I do in me so that that person doesn't affect me, but I'm also honoring my energy. I'm not forcing myself. If I feel that I'm feeling like a pressure that I have to do something, I know that the people I'm with might have their root defined, which means that they have the pressure to action, but I have the knock-on effect of that because I'm taking on their energy, and that is exhausting me, for example, because my pressure to act will come from my own feeling, right? It's always the feeling. The key is the feeling. If I'm feeling like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I want to do this. I'm curious. I'll do it. But if it comes from like guilt or something, that's not great. So that can also be, for example, if your spleen is undefined, that might be you might be attracting a lot of different things to do with health. It might be that you're either very conscious, or it might be that you're seeing certain things that are like not right. And that might be because of the people in your life. It might be because you're kind of like not accepting that this is where you need to be right now. This is where I can start from. This is day 1 for something. Then I have a day 1 for something else, a day 1 for something else. This is where I'm at, right? It might be that you're feeling things intuitively, but you're not letting yourself say them or act on them, right? It might be that you might be feeling like you want to compete with someone, but actually that's not you normally. It might be like you feel like I want to kick their butt, really, but that's not you, right? Or it might be like, who am I anymore? Like, who am I? What's my point? Whatever. That might be also coming from that. If your throat center is undefined, you might not have, like, sometimes you might talk for the sake of talking rather than to actually make sense of something. If your head is undefined or your ajna, you might be like running around in circles about things and not making sense, or worried about not having enough ideas. So a kind of very short summary from the centers is, the more of them are undefined, the more of them you're prone to other people's energy. And within the centers, you will have these numbers. You'll see a bunch of numbers, the 64 different numbers. They're called gates. Each gate has a gift, and each gift, if it's colored in, if it's got if it's like in a black circle, it means you have constant access to it. If it's not, you don't have constant access to it, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. So this would be another hour or 2 if I was to take you through the gates. What I want to do is draw your attention to this, because this is where your energy can leak. So this is really cool. Look at this. This is your Mars in your design. Look at this first number before the dot, so 13.2. The 0.2, leave it. I can explain this to you if you want another time. but the number 13. So for example, number 13 for me is the gate of listener. Where my energy leaks is your Mars in your design. So the exact same thing here. So look at your design, look at your chart, what it says. And then you can look it up anywhere, really, human design, gate number, whatever. And you can look it up. What does that mean? I can help you interpret it. Gate 13, for example, for me, is the gate of listener. When I listen to people, I feel them, I hear them, it's never to answer, it's never to respond, it's to take it in, right? But it's in my Mars, because that's where my energy leaks, when I'm listening to the people who are, for example, complaining and whining, but with no intention of getting better, just like dumping their energy, emotional energy waste on me. So if they do that, that's where my energy leaks the most. That's why I'm also not spending time with certain people, because I've learned, I was like, oh my God, why am I feeling so tired? I need to take a whole day out of my life after spending time with someone to actually start feeling better. Sometimes two, some people, I was like, nope, okay, that's it. So I said to myself, no, I have so much to share, so much to give. I'm not going to do this for people who are taking advantage, not seeing the gem. It's like, do they deserve your energy? Do they deserve the luxury of your energy, right? So look up what that is for you. You will also see all the different planetary signs here. They will all relate to something, because every planet obviously is responsible for something. You have the spiritual planet, you have the planet of lessons, you have the abundant planet, and all of that. And they will all be different too. But I feel like this is where I will stop, and I will share with you a few things. If you want to take a couple of minutes and hear, if you wanted to and felt called, like continuing on this high vibration, and then I'll summarize what I'm doing, and I'll take you through one last thing. So I've opened up the Alignment Club, which is, very briefly speaking, a space for those who just want to elevate and feel this A, high vibration, B, learn about things like human design, things like alignment, and really step into it. And I'm doing it every week at these following times, on Thursday every week. And there's also like access to community space, which is on Discord. There's a channel with all sorts of helpful stuff, different channels, so that it doesn't get overwhelming with the one chat. It's like different things about different things. We share, engage, we have a hot seat, you could ask me questions, and we have this collective energy. And it's a sliding scale membership, so you can pay whatever you want, starting with $55, and you can kind of move it up and down. And if you want to look into that, you can scan this. Then the second thing that I want to tell you about as well is, if you want to take a screenshot of this page, if you ever wanted and felt like what I was talking to you about today was calling you, and you wanted some help with that specifically to you, because I feel like I've taken you through your chart, so hopefully you get it. But if you want some further help with your chart specifically, then you can book a soul decoding session. It's basically me and you looking at your blueprint, what you want to achieve, where you're struggling, where your maybe blocks or bottlenecks are, and then using human design and intuitive guidance, I'll work through that with you. And then the second thing is an alignment SOS, and it's basically a quick session where you drop me a line, and I will help you align kind of quickly to spark up. It's like triggering, it's like the initiation of the energy. And then anyone who wants to work with me on a guidance program, always start with a soul decoding, because we will have to start with that to kind of get where you are and figure out from there where we can take you. But I also am open to working with people on like a 3-month plus guidance program throughout whatever you need. So if you feel like my energy is calling you for that, then that's cool. And the one cool thing that I'm doing is VIP days in person. So if someone's working with me one-to-one, I will fly to you wherever you are in the world for a full day once a month. And we work on you directly, like 100% of the time is on you. So if you feel like this is interesting, then do that. And just to go back to human design again, one last thing that I want to share with you here. If you look at your definition, so in your chart, you'll see something that says definition here, single definition, for example. That means, if you'll see here, there's like a colorful channel between those two centers and another colorful channel between those two centers. And then if you see, my other centers are not colored in, so they're not defined. So that means all the centers that I have defined, that I have constant access to, are combined, connected. That means that I am a single definition, meaning that I have a way to process my own information and make sense of things by myself within me. And when I reach out to other people, that's because I go, oh, okay, I need specific technical help, but within everything else, I have this, right? If you have a split, triple, or quadruple definition, that means that you have multiple centers, and within them they're connected, but they are not all connected together. So not all your defined centers will be connected together. That means that the more of them you have, whether it's split or triple or quad, you will feel like you need different people to help you marry up different things in your life, right? And that might be friends, that might be guides, that might be communities, whatever that is. But just knowing that, you will also know, because I used to step into a need energy, like I need to be in this community, because if I'm not, then whatever. And then when I stepped into my true definition, I'm like, the community benefits from my energy, but I don't need it to be who I am, right? But if you're like split definition, you feel that you need someone in your life. For example, someone, like my kids have split definition, so they will need someone throughout their life, like a guide, not like growing on their head or something, but just to kind of to be with them, to help them make sense of information and things. Not always the same person. So that's really cool as well. I don't know if I have anything. No, yeah, that's it. I just want to sum up that I've taken you through everything. So physical health, I took you through digestion. I took you through movement. I haven't taken you through sleep. So one quick tip on sleep. And I guess that's routines as well. This is why I love that I've got this at the end here. So sleep-wise, if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, you need to get tired to sleep. You don't need a fixed routine. Like, don't believe anyone who says 8 hours. You need to sleep when you're tired. And if you're a manifesting generator, you have this extra bit of energy in you. So you feel you're tired, like you've done extra stuff, and now you're like ready to go. You probably have one more thing in you. It might be like 10, 15 minutes or something, but you still have that in you. So sleep then, right? If you are a manifester, you need to sleep very specific schedule, because you also will have a lot of energy that you've exhausted throughout the day by initiating things, but you will also need to have a very quiet time. So you need to sleep your standard time, whether it's 8 hours or whatever. You need to have a fair routine of the time that you need to sleep. And so you'll be doing stuff to the end, but you need to have a bit of quiet time beforehand. That means maybe read a book, maybe listen to some music, maybe just lie in bed and meditate, but that's great for you. Don't do something like work stuff, or respond to something that's like suddenly spiking your energy up. Don't do that. If you're a generator, sure, do whatever you want, right? But if you're not, don't do that. And if you're a projector, you also need to be very specific with how you like what you do in the evening. So sleep is very important. Often projectors need to just lie flat to recoup their energy. Like, I just need to be horizontal. So when I do my like when I'm doing sessions, I guess I won't be horizontal, but when I'm preparing, for example, I'm like lying with my iPad and just clicking on things. Just being in a different position helps me recoup my energy. I'm still working, I'm still doing stuff, but I'm in a different position. And having a very specific time as well. I set an alarm an hour before my sleep time, and that's my time. That's to relax. I switch off everything else. I don't respond to anything. I might watch something light or listen to something light or read something, but it's never like more stimulating stuff. And then I go and I have my sleep. And in the morning when I wake up, I also start slowly. If you're a projector, you might also be careful of who you are sleeping next to. So if you've got a partner, there might be times where you just need a day or two where you're just in your own energy, especially if they're a generator. You might be like feeling their energy. I had that with my ex-husband, for example, that I felt his energy, especially when maybe the energy between us wasn't the greatest. I also felt that, so I needed to be in a different room to recoup my own energy, because otherwise I would wake up tired. So that's really important too, that every now and then, and it's just a conversation, you know, it's just for them to understand there will be days that I just want to sleep on my own, or you go and cuddle and you do your cool evening stuff together and then you go into a separate place. It's not that you have to do this always. If you're feeling great energy and great vibe from that person, great. I mean, don't, but that's a good way to do it. And if you're a reflector, you're all open. All your centers are open. So you need to be very careful of what energy you let in. You really need to just go by the way you feel. You need to take it easy and flow. And that's really to do with routines as well. So generators, you know, you can keep going for 8 hours a day and so on. Projectors need to rest a lot, and manifestors will have those spurts, like they will know when things are pulling them. We talked about environment. We talked about energy leaks throughout the centers, as well as the Mars gate. I mean, there's more that human design can tell you, but this is kind of where this is. We talked about flowing, right? So what makes you flow? If your arrows are centered to the right versus to the left, you're supposed to be more in flow, less structured. And that's sometimes might feel uncomfortable if you've been used to being structured about something. But if you're supposed to be more structured about things and less flowing, that doesn't mean don't flow, don't meditate. It just means that certain things need to be done in a more structured way. We talked, this is how you optimize. We talked about motivation and decision making as well, because we talked about the different types and what authority they have. And then as far as relationships and kids and understanding dynamics, this is exactly what it is. So if you're a projector and you're talking to a manifesting generator, their energy can feel overwhelming. So you just need to know that and honor that, and just kind of go, oh, with that person, this is how I feel. Or in this environment, this is how I feel, right? Collective energy might be different than one-to-one for you. And so my kids are manifestors. They need to initiate. I'm a projector. I wait for invitation. So I know that if I'm trying to make them do something or go, come on, let's do this, they'll be like, whatever. I'll have to drag them. That's not the right energy. But if I'm saying, you know what, I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to go to this place and I'm going there, usually they'll go, oh, I'm interested. I'll go. Because I'm not inviting, I'm not doing any of this. I'm just saying that what I'm doing, I'm guiding my energy, and they follow, or they don't. But either way, it feels lighter. So that's where I felt I could take you in like an hour and 20 minutes, because I know we probably ran over the hour, but hopefully that was beneficial. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I'm going to ask if you've got any questions.